welcome to another episode of our Salem by Night Chronicle. I am the Ravnos Archon. My name is Will, and I will be your storyteller this evening. Last we left off with the group, we got to see them do a little bit of the Hardy Boys mystery. We got to see some of Melvin's actual detective work come into play as Melvin and Mustang have gone looking for what happened to Melvin's sire, Mickey, and as such have left the city of Salem following the breadcrumbs that have been laid out before them. But for tonight's episode, we're going to go back a few days, couple days at most, because we need to find out what's been happening with Connie Eastworm. Because one night, as Melvin and Mustang awoke and their hunger increased, they discovered that Connie had woken up before them and had left with no note whatsoever. And so now, as a treat, we get to find out what Connie's been up to this whole time. Hello? Now you can munch on an almond if you want, and I'll let you know how noisy it is.
Yes. All right. You ready for the test?
No, didn't pick it up. But you can chew away.
Let me find a crunchier one. That one was a little soft. Hold on.
Oh. No. See? Sin
Wow,
pena.
the magic of technology.
Yeah, sin pena, come.
Almonds for the girl.
Woo!
Woo, woo, woo. Happy to be back.
Yeah.
Good to see everybody.
We missed you.
It's been a while.
It's sad because I know how much you love your hunter killer boxes, and like this has been like a whole hunter killer scenario.
Like you don't even know. I haven't even been able to play those, man. I have stacks of hunter killer to do.
Oh my goodness!
So to be missing this incredible detective thing that's going on with Melvin and Mustang is killing.
Bro, they were canopic jars, bro. They found a sarcophagus.
What?
Yeah.
They found a sarcophagus?
Yeah, bro. It's been wild. It's been wild. You missed out. And if you want to do one of the hunter killer boxes while I'm down, I am.
Oh yeah, I got you taken care of. I'm still in the middle of one season. I got a new season they've sent me. Like, you tell me, we'll make it happen.
Vamos. Anything to be in a room with you and Lisette. So.
Oh. It's her birthday today.
I know. Happy birthday to her. I know she's not watching, but just in case, por si maybe.
Por si acaso. Happy birthday, my half of baby lambs.
Yeah.
She is, this is her Jesus year. She has turned her Jesus age of 33.
33, no.
33.
So many good things happen at the age of 33, so we'll see.
For sure.
If she can keep the magic going. So we're going back to, the game right now is, we left off on Monday, October 29th. They're about to go to a gentleman's club in this city that they're in. So it's a good thing that you're not there, because you might have ended up killing somebody and hiding in the bathroom like last time. So we're going to go back to the 27th, which is not that far. But you've awoken yourself, and you can still see some of the vestiges of sunlight coming in from the door. It's very low in the sky. You've never woken up this early since maybe the first month since your embrace. There are images that are flooding you of the evening of that embrace. The color of the tiles in the bathroom, the color the stalls were painted, the insistent pulling of the door by your would-be beau at the time. And then it slows down on the images of Joshua in his wolf form coming in, saving you, ripping this man's throat out. And then you start to kind of see images. Oh, that I did hear.
Watch. That was our watch. Sorry.
11
I,
p.m.
I didn't. The Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Oh, you start to see images of the wolf in different scenarios. Images that you were never privy to, that you were never a witness to. You can see him in an old timey saloon. You see him um, in a mining tunnel, emerging, muzzle all red with blood. You see him rushing up to this house, this homestead, and through its eyes, you can see a series of men, some you don't recognize, one you do, and they're all kind of standing around what is the woman whose head you have in a jar. And she looks bestial, she looks terrified, she looks like she is being led by the hunger that you know all too well that exists in the back of your throat. And then you get an image of a gentleman, and it's the gentleman that you saw in his house. The short black hair, the black beard, the streaks of white, the blue eyes, and the two kind of parallel scars that come down to a V underneath the right eye. And as you're snapped out of this series of images, you find that you're no longer in your room. You're no longer in the apartment. You're no longer in the tower. You're somewhere else. You find that you have been walking towards a destination and just being led by instinct. It's still a little bit of light out, but mostly it's nighttime. You can see that there's a bunch of people on the streets, cars coming to and fro. But you find yourself in the historic downtown. Find yourself outside the Orpheus. And across the street, in a dark blue, almost black Cadillac Eldorado with the hood ornament of a rearing horse, you see the man step out of the driver's seat. And the emotions for you to come over.
So I'm drawn to him, I imagine, because I woke up in this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in whatever clothes you were wearing the night before. You're outside the theater. You can see people are standing in line about to go see the movies.
Um, I guess I follow him cautiously.
Okay.
I mean, I all I feel is why whatever led me this way means that I have to talk to this person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's an easy
okay.
assumption.
Right? Okay. All
And
right.
you cross the street, and as you get closer to him, like he takes off his cowboy hat, uh, slides it back into the car, the back seat. And you see with a very cordial nod to you, um, he extends his hand. Miss Connie Eastworm, I presume.
I look at him a little hesitantly. and a little annoyed. But I put my hand in his and I say, the very one. Nice to meet you. And you are?
You notice that he has a very gentle handshake, but he also does bend down to kiss your knuckles. It's very old world. And he's like, "My name is Thomas Kincaid. I hope Joshua might have mentioned me at some point. Um, I'm his sire."
Well, I have sort of heard of you,
Hmm.
but nice to meet you nonetheless. Why have you called me here?
I have a bad feeling that our common friend, is in trouble. Uh, I've been sensing a lot of his anxiety, a lot of his trepidation, his fears, um, and having recently found out that Wesley Ian Garter is in not only in the city, but that he's been made a primogen. Um, kind of understand why he has these feelings. Uh, how much do you know about their relationship?
I can't say I know a lot. I'm I haven't really been able to speak with Joshua in a good deal of time. It's been a little chaotic here, but
I heard. Uh, I'm sorry about what happened to Geraldine. She was a good being. Um, have you dealt with a woman recently named Abigail?
rings a bell.
I thought as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
You
she's special.
you up for a ride? And you see him start to kind of go around the side of his car towards the passenger seat.
Mm, sure.
And like a gentleman, he opens the door for you, waits for you to get inside, closes it, goes back around.
I don't like any of this.
What's the
Connie
worst
does
that could
not like any
happen?
of this. Oh, what do you think? Everything?
Uh, but he gets in, he turns the car over, and you hear it roar. He starts to drive. He's like, long time ago, we dealt with a woman named Abigail Banner. Um, real crafty. Pardon my French, man, but real crafty bitch, that one. Uh, she's the one responsible for, and I say that loosely, but she's the one responsible for me and having embraced Joshua. I don't think it's something he's ever forgiven me for, but better me than her, I think.
So she's the reason you turned Joshua?
Yeah, yeah. She had her eyes on him, and she was going to use him for something bad. Has he ever talked about Kansas City? He ever tell you about his time in the Civil War?
I mean, I think that if we are both speaking about the same Joshua, we both know that he isn't really one for sharing
I thought he would have
the bits and
changed.
pieces of his life that I know. I probably have learned more about him in the past few months than I have known in the you know, decade that he and I have been associated.
I understand. I was hoping that having created a child that would have opened him up, changed him a bit. Uh, old habits, I guess. Um, I found him in Kansas City back after the Civil War was coming to a close. Um, and Miss Banner was looking to create a kind of child of her own, someone that she could throw at the Prince of Kansas, just create general upheaval, chaos, and try to swoop in and pick something up, I imagine. Um, and so when I stole her right of creation out from under her, she turned the city's sheriff on us. The city's sheriff at the time was a relatively young, and I use the word very loosely, ma'am, but he was an up and coming Toreador named Wesley Ian Gardner.
Mm.
Um, he lashed out in the only way he could, um, which is, by all accounts, petty. But he went and he embraced his wife, uh, left her to fend for herself. Um, and the next evening, she she killed their son, feeding off of his blood to quench the thirst.
He killed their son?
Hmm. Nah, I say she, but it wasn't her. And you know that the beast makes us do terrible things.
Wow.
Uh,
Hmm.
in his rage, he ended up tearing her own throat out, doing his best to stop her from doing anything, any more harm to anybody else. Some people are meant to live this life that we lead, walk this path. Some people aren't. Abigail Banner is one of those people. She's a nasty customer. She's turned everything she's learned into the art of becoming dominant. It was no surprise to me when I found out that she had joined us a bot back before, the beckoning and all that. But I've also followed her to the city, so I can only imagine what she must be up to and what she's trying to plan for for Joshua all over again.
Why is she still so obsessed? It's been decades?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Centuries?
been a century.
What does she still want him to join her army? What does she want?
Can't rightly say. I haven't been able to actually get one-on-one time with her, and anytime that I do, that I think I have her cornered, manages to escape. I'm looking for Joshua. I figured since you were his progeny that you would have a better bead on him, or at the very least that you would try to help me find him.
Well, I'm surprised that you've been so unsuccessful in being able to trace him and that you needed to come to me.
I haven't been unsuccessful as such. It's just that he's with Lupines, and I'd rather not go into Lupine territory alone.
Well, then you know where he is.
I have an idea of where he is.
Well, I will help you find him because despite it all and despite what I don't know about him, I do still care for him as my sire, and but I feel like there are parts of this story that I don't have. So excuse me for being a bit suspicious that this is the first time I'm really hearing about you and this story.
I understand completely. Um, if it helps any, um, my name is my name now is Thomas Kincaid. Um, I came across Joshua, like I said, just north of 1830, Kansas. Um, we participated in a few things. I was trying to find some new veins to mine. I'd heard about some territories out west, and unfortunately, before any of that came to fruition, I came across this plan of Abigail's to what has become known as shovelheading, which is where you just embrace a bunch of new kindred and then just let them loose on somebody. It's a tactic that has been used some nights prior, and it's probably a tactic that will be used again at some point. Um, it's terrible, and it floods the city with kindred. Uh, but I couldn't let that happen to him. I saw the life he was leading. I saw the wife he had. I saw the son he had. He'd been through a lot, you know. Uh, they lost two girls before the son finally landed, and managed to survive most of his uh, childhood dangers. And kind of reminded me of the hope that I lost when I was embraced. I had a son too. I had hopes for him. That's who I am, Miss Eastworm. I don't want to hurt Joshua. I don't want to kill Joshua. I'm here to help Joshua. Like you, it means a lot to me.
Okay. Let's let's uh let's get our heads together then.
All right. A good thing.
So where are you thinking we should go first?
Well, seeing as how we're just passing the big bridge here on Willamette, I have some friends that I can leave the car at. I believe you might have had some interactions with them. Otis King.
Yeah. I'm familiar with Otis King as well.
Yeah. Figure we dropped the car off at his bar, the Red Eye Lounge, and then if Joshua has taught you how to take on your animal form, we could start to meander ourselves into the forest.
Well,
Oh, Sasha's loud.
funny you mentioned that. Um, our lessons were cut short before I could really explore my any additional abilities
Hmm.
that I may have. So, you want to, I don't know, take me to an abandoned parking lot and teach me how to go full whatever my animal is, wolf?
Well,
Uh,
we have options at our disposal. Looking at Connie's character sheet, she has shape change. She has protein level 3.
I know, but I haven't done any of it yet.
You haven't done it yet, yeah.
I just earned them. I literally just earned them
Yeah,
in
the
the last session I was
last
in.
session.
So
Uh,
we can practice.
yeah, yeah, of course. Um, Last I heard, your coterie had a Lasombra in it. Do we have access to him in any way, shape, or form? We might be able to use some of those Oblivion powers.
Oh, you mean well, unfortunately we don't have him anymore.
No. You know what city he might have
Yeah.
moved to?
The City of the Dead.
Oh, my condolences.
We're still working through it. But yeah, he is no longer with us. Um and it's partially Otis King's fault. So
Huh.
imagine how fun it is to revisit this.
He
So
kind of
no, sorry, we don't have him.
Yeah. He looks at you for a moment, and then he turns his attention back to Roy. He's like, "I can tell it's not a subject that you would like to breach, so we will leave it at that then." But you go to the Red Eye Lounge, you park. Um, you see Manny kind of talking to one of the bouncers as you pull up. Thomas waves, Manny waves, and then sees you, and then he gives you finger guns with a big old smile on his face.
Mhm.
Uh, I love that I can hear Sasha. It-
She's our stowaway. She keeps following us wherever we go.
Hey, bro, you just can't give anybody your address anymore.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
No.
nope. But he goes over. He shakes hands with Manny. They exchange some pleasantries. Um, and of course, as always, Manny pulls out a Ziploc bag of what looks to be body parts. Pulls out a little spork and opens the bag and offers you a piece. Hey,
Still not a fan.
it's my favorite wet T-shirt winner. What's going on, man? You want some? I got pancreas in here today.
Ooh. Not today. I'll let you enjoy that. Enjoy the minerals.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's vitamin D, and he spears one of the chunks, and just puts it in his mouth.
Ugh.
You guys coming in? We're not open yet, but you know I can pull some strings.
I look at Thomas and I say, "Are we coming in?"
No, no, we're not.
Hmm.
And Manny just puts the bag away. I understand. It's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do. You know.
Mhm.
And Manny will give the orders for the evening for the bouncer, tells him about the special party coming in, and then he makes his way inside. Thomas pats the bouncer on the back, starts to make his way around back, motioning for you to follow him. And as you get back there, he starts to walk you through the the actual thought process that happens. He's like, "Look, it's the first time. It's gonna be a crapshoot. You're gonna feel like it's not working. It's gonna feel incredibly stupid. I understand, but just know you've been around for what? You said a decade at least.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Give or take.
you know what we're capable of."
Oh, I know what you're capable of.
He kind of smiles. You see him. If he would, he would have blushed. Uh, but he kind of smiles at you, and he's like, "Ma'am, you have no idea what I can do."
Okay.
Uh, and he tells you, he's like, "Hey, some of the more useful forms, obviously, are the bat. If you need a little bit more travel friendly, though, you could always take on like a bird of prey, like a falcon or an eagle. Um, it's just that they're not really nocturnal like bats are. Uh, you could turn into a rat if you wanted to. I find them to be rather small. You could turn into a horse. You could turn yourself into a bear. Uh, but I think the one that's going to be the most useful right now is a wolf form."
Yeah.
I need you to imagine the wolf form that you want to take. Imagine the coloring of the fur. Imagine the shortening of your fingers down to the toe beans that they have. Imagine your nose and mouth elongating into a muzzle. Imagine what the fur would feel like on your body. And then just picture yourself running through a forest, a meadow, um, your ears perking to the sounds of nature. Just grab all of that, hold on to it like a big old ball of fluff, and use that to kind of let you take your form. And as he says that, you see him shift down, and as he starts to kind of bend down, he falls forward, and as he catches himself, you see that his hands have melted away into the form of just these big brown, kind of dark chocolate paws. And you see that he's mostly brown. There's a little bit of ruddy redness to his fur, and then there's just streaks of black. Uh, but his eyes are still blue. His muzzle is mostly black, and the tip of his ears and the tip of his tail is brown. But he is this massive, like 3.5 foot tall at the shoulder wolf.
Okay.
And then he pads the ground in front of him and in front of you.
Okay. So I give a little sort of
Shimmy shake.
uh artificial shimmy shake as if I'm trying to warm up something, but I have no idea what I'm gonna actually do. Um I'm a little scared that I will be embarrassed halfway through this. Um and I bend over and I look at him and I say, if I don't do this right, will like
Isn't that?
excuse me, almonds.
Oh,
They're dry motherfuckers, man. if I don't do this right, is it possible that I only like only half of me transforms?
He
I
tell
don't want that.
he tilts his head at you, and then he kind of, after a moment of thinking about it, he kind of shakes his head, but it's really reluctant and it's really like hesitant. Almost like he may have heard of somebody doing this to themselves, but he doesn't think it's possible.
I feel like this is how the centaurs became centaurs,
He nods.
right? Cool. So I just I started do one of these and I start sort of and I just start and I look at him and I say I just like close my eyes and I think of being a wolf.
He steps
I do.
forward so that his back and his muzzle kind of find your hand. Um, and it's almost like what Leela would do to you to get attention.
Mm,
You know, he's letting you feel the fur, to feel that this is possible, that it's real. And then he just kind of steps forward around, nods, and then puts his paw on your foot.
okay. So I close my eyes
Hmm.
and take a deep breath and I imagine a gray and brown wolf
Okay.
with dark brown eyes. And I imagine my body closer to the ground. I imagine I have a long tail with white tips and the smells of the earth,
Yeah.
of the trees, of fallen debris of bird droppings and rodents and any other sort of miscellaneous woodland creature. I imagine those senses intensifying as I walk through a large, cold forest. I feel a little I feel the like cold wind in my face, but I'm not cold. I feel it on the tip of my nose. And I close my eyes when a gust of wind comes by in an effort to shield them. But I know that it's just blowing through my ears and through my fur.
Okay. Grab a single dice, single D10, and make a rouse check.
9.
9. Perfect. So there's, you can't see it, but as everything is as transpiring as you transcribed, you can feel the fur, the wind through the fur, through your ears. You can feel the earth closer to you. You can smell it. Um, you can smell the cars that are starting to pull in. You can hear the music inside, the rowdiness of the people that are about to get drunk for the evening. And you hear a glorious kind of yip of a bark from Thomas. And as you open your eyes, you notice that you are level with him. Excuse me. And he starts to walk around your form, and you are this 3'6", 3'4", wolf at the shoulder. Um, and the first few steps are clumsy. You're not used to being on four legs. And he does shake with laughter. Uh, but he helps you up. He puts his nuzzle underneath your one of your armpits, kind of helps you back up, and then we'll start to trot in front of you so you can see the order in which the legs should be moving. Um, so it's not like front two, back two. It's kind of one off, fourth. Um, teaches you, like, he shows you how to kind of sniff the air. He will bring his head down and show you how he tilts his ears, and it's just new muscles that you've never really thought of. And the idea of it is just wild, as you tilt one ear in one direction and one ear in the other, and like certain sounds become muffled and certain sounds become amplified. The sense of people smoking can be smelled all the way out here for you, even though they're like at least 1,000 feet away from you. Um, you can smell some of the liquor in the bottles as it's being poured inside the bar because the door has swung open at a particular point. It is wild, and although the colors are a little muted, there's a vibrancy to them.
Mm.
And once you start to kind of get the hang of it, he starts to trot off into the forest, and he'll stop and kind of look back in your direction and just motion, keep going.
Okay. I I do my best to follow.
Yeah. It's a little clumsy, but you are doing your best, and roots are the bane of your existence for a little bit. Uh
Roots, like the tree roots?
Tree roots, yeah.
Yeah. It
Um
is tough when you're shorter.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't know anything about being short. Um that's not the life I lead. But after about an hour, you get to a point where you hear howling, and he stops, and you just see him kind of get into a defensive stance. His legs are spread wider. They're kind of sawhorses. He looks like just this furry sawhorse. Uh, and then one of the back leg nearest you kind of scratches in your direction. Just very softly, very, very carefully, just a low scratch. And then it comes back. And then he does it again. Then he brings it back. And as he's about to do it again, you see him start to scratch. And then a wolf appears out of nowhere. Just 1 second, there's this clearing of trees in the distance. There's just some bushes, some foliage. And the next moment, there is a wolf that has just emerged out of nothing. It's almost like the air has become liquid and he's coming out of a pool, but there's no water. There's nothing to wet him. Uh, and he just kind of pads the floor in front of him, just kind of barks. And at that point, you see Joshua lean back, and as he does, he starts to shift out of the wolf form. And you see that he's now standing, his hands are up by his head, and he's like, "We're not here to cause trouble. I was simply warning my associate that we were not alone." And again, you see the air ripple like somebody coming out of a pool of water or somebody diving into a pool of water, and you see a female, excuse me, tan skinned, dark brown, almost black hair, past the shoulders, tied back in a ponytail with a leather strap. Uh, it looks like hiking clothes, like a shirt, an undershirt, a plaid red and blue shirt, uh, shorts, and just hiking boots. And then she comes out. She's like, "You're a long way from the city, boys." And Thomas kind of looks back at you, then looks back at her. Uh, I'm I'm the only boy, actually. Um, we hear about Joshua, if you know him. Joshua Allens. The wolf in front of you sighs and drops its head. The girl pats him and then looks at the two of you. And Joshua hasn't been here in some time, maybe about a month. He left the protectorate. We don't know what to tell you. Thomas looks down at you. Sorry about this, kid. I guess this was a crapshoot to begin with. He stops them before
I'm
they
still
leave. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm still a wolf,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You can come out of it whenever you want.
Okay.
Otherwise, once
All
they
right.
once they leave, you will come out of it.
Okay. I'll just stay as a wolf. That's fine.
Okay. He stops them. He's like, "Do you know if anybody heard him say something before he left? Like, are there any clues, anything to where he might have gone?" And they both shake their heads. The wolf is still looking at you. There's something sinister about the way it's looking at you, but it hasn't done anything.
Hmm.
The girl just kind of looks at Thomas and then looks back at you and then looks back at Thomas. No. Only thing I can say is that a few nights ago, we got a surprise visit from a Fenrir. Somebody that shouldn't exist came back to life. Now we got to deal with that. So, my am I upset that Joshua left? Yeah, yeah, we could have used his help. He's also not part of the pack, and he's not part of our cairn. He proved that with his exit. So, I think it's time you exit. Don't come back to the forest. You see him nod. Sounds fair? I appreciate the kind word, miss. She nods and then she spits on the ground. Sure. And you see them both kind of retreat into the foliage, but you still get the feeling that they're around. And as you start
Mm.
to walk away, you find that your point of view starts to increase in height. And you can feel that your paws have elongated now into your actual fingers. And as you push yourself up onto your feet, you see that you are back in the same clothes that you were in. They're just dirtier. And kind of looks at you. Oh, there you go. Not bad for your first outing.
Well, that was disappointing. I wonder how he left. That upset them so much because he was with the Lupines for so long.
Something must have
I wouldn't
happened.
imagine. I just wouldn't imagine that he would just leave like that.
As much as it's
Not without.
as much as it's gonna pain me to say this, we're gonna need to go back and talk to Manny then. Manny's the one that brokered the whatever treaty that was forged between the vampires of the city and the werewolves that sit in in the forest outside. Like he was the one that was instrumental in getting that treaty forged. He'd know what happened.
You're right. So we go back to the bar.
Yeah, you want a hoof or you want to try a different shape?
Uh, hmm. I want to try a different shape.
All right, that's my girl. And you see that he kind of closes his eyes for a moment, um, and starts to shake almost like you did, that little false shimmy. And as he does, you see him shrink down, uh, and he becomes this massive, like maybe 2.5, almost 3 foot tall bald eagle.
Ooh,
And he just kind of
nice.
opens his wingspan, kind of like stretching, and then shakes himself and starts to hop around.
Okay. All right. So I close my eyes and I imagine black and brown feathers,
Mm.
strong beak and strong claws. And I imagine myself as a falcon
Okay.
flying through the air. Yeah, looking for rabbits and
Yeah.
snakes. Is that what they eat?
Definitely,
Rodents?
definitely not almonds. Um,
They don't eat all.
roll a die.
Maybe in a pinch.
Yeah, right.
It might.
Uh, roll a die. See what happens with your rouse check.
7.
Okay. So easily enough, you've done it once. It's just becoming the idea of this new animal is what's the most difficult hurdle to jump. But again, you feel the shape kind of starting to melt down. You can feel the lightness in your body. You can feel the kind of hunched, bent legs as you climb down. And as you open your eyes, you see that you're just slightly looking up at Thomas. There's a little bit of a height difference. But you see him just excitedly nod, and then he starts to hop. And as he does, he extends his wings, and you see him start to flap them. And he starts to kind of flap around you. Uh, and then he clears a runway, and he just starts running and takes off. And you just hear him caw as he climbs up over the canopy.
Let's see how I play.
Yeah, this one, excuse me, since this one is a little bit more alien for you, we will definitely see how you roll.
Uh,
Bird of prey. It's 4 dice in physical.
Four
So
dice?
yeah, 4 dice.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, one success.
Nice. Uh, it is again first time, so it's sloppy. You are running around. The leg of a bird is so much different than the wolf and so much different than a human. You're just trying to meld the two together, trying to figure out what's going on. You fall over a couple times. The wings don't help because you can't really use them to push yourself up. It's about 10 or 20 minutes of just you being a total mess on the ground. Uh, and there's a moment where he kind of lands on a tree branch and he perches and he kind of watches, and you just see him shake his head very slowly. And after that, you get the little bit of a gumption to kind of really grit your teeth or your beak, and you kind of follow his lead. You start to run around, flapping your wings as best as possible, kind of learning uh, that it's not just an up and down motion, but there is a kind of scooping. Um, and sure enough, you finally take off, and it is one of the most rewarding sensations of your life. You've always, as children, we always dream about being a bird, being free, but now you're actually a bird. Now you're actually free, and you can just you see the canopy of the forest laid out before you. The moon is a gibbous moon, so it is really bright, and there's barely a cloud in the sky. You can see the stars. Everything is just so different up here. There's no sounds of traffic, there's no people yelling at each other, there's no music. It's just the wind, you, and the sky. And then you hear the heavy flapping of Thomas coming up behind you. And then he just kind of motions in a kind of swoop and hook and starts to fly back towards uh, the Red Eye Lounge.
Hmm. I like this alternative travel option.
Yeah. You make some great timing, even though you did spend like half an hour trying to figure out how to be a bird. And you see him kind of land on the roof of the club, and he comes over to the rear part of it. And as he melts back into his human shape, you see him. He's already kind of scrambling over the side of the roof to kind of slide down and land in the rear part of the parking lot. Uh, but he kind of like the second he gets down there and he dusts himself off, looks up in your direction, and he just kind of claps. And as you land and you revert, you see that he's there to kind of help catch you. He's like, "Yeah, there you go. See that wasn't so difficult."
Uh, I get completely honest with him, and I'm like, that was the most incredible time I've had in this form.
He's like, "Yeah, it's fun. It's
I
dangerous
even forgot
too."
what we were doing.
Yeah, well, we gotta go into the lion's den, so gird up. And for a moment, he kind of stands there And he stops and he's like, "What else have you manifested with your abilities?"
What else have I manifested? Uh, claws.
All right, so you've pretty much mastered our discipline.
Mhm.
You got
You could
anything?
say that.
You got anything new though? Did you learn anything from your La Sombra friend? Have you picked up anything from your other coterie member?
I did. I can open up my abilities. I will tell you what I have learned. I I forget what I could do.
Okay, that's fine.
Uh,
He's like, it's not a test or anything. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Connie. I'm just trying to figure
I
out.
can jump real high.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I could. Yeah,
all right.
haven't tested that yet, but I know I can.
We'll see if that comes in handy.
Yeah.
I think if anything, just hold on to your claws. I think that might be the worst it's gonna get.
Okay.
Yep. But you go back around the front. The bodyguard kind of nods at both of you, lets you in, skipping the line that's out there. Um, and
Nice.
you go over to the office. He knocks, and without waiting for any word or any response, he kind of opens it. He checks it to see if it's open. It does open, and he steps in. Excuse me. And
Mhm.
sitting behind the desk, you see the dapper gentleman that is just the impeccable suit, the barely undone tie, the top button is undone, vest is open. Uh, but he looks more like he should be in a law firm than in the office of a bar. Uh,
Mhm.
but Thomas kind of walks in, he sees him, he's like, "John, been a while. You know if Manny's within earshot?" And in the corner, you see the shadows start to recede, and you see Manny sitting there eating a piece of pancreas. Like, "I'm right here, baby. What do you need?" And then Thomas kind of looks down at John, and he's like, "John, could we use the office for a little bit? Kind of sensitive for just us boys and Connie." And John Colson stands up. "Of course, please." Uh, with the amount of history we have, Mr. Kincaid, I'm sure that I can go finish this paperwork somewhere else. And he grabs his folder, closes it, grabs a pen with him, and leaves the office, leaving you, Thomas, and Manny to talk. And Thomas looks at you like, "You wanna go first, or you want me to go first?"
I I can go first.
All right, ladies first. And Manny kind of sits up. "I always try to make it so my ladies come first, but go ahead."
Ugh. Ugh. So it's come to our attention that there has been some sort of interruption in the werewolf community. Um, seems that there might be something going on as of late that we are interested in learning a little bit more about. Something told us that you would be a good person to ask about any updates in that, because any information you have would be really important for us.
Eh, I like the words that you are using, but some of them are a little too big for me. But I do like that it is an interruption because it has been interrupting the flow of my fucking week. I will tell you that right now. But who told you that we had an interruption?
Well, uh, we had a stroll in the woods recently,
Oh,
and
that's dangerous.
yeah, it was lucky to get out of there. Um, and they basically, in so many words, told us that there's been a lot of disruption, interruption,
There's a lot
and of
of
course, told us to fucking leave
oh,
the forest.
okay, yeah. Excuse me. That sounds more like him. Yeah. Uh, yeah, there was say a disruption, an interruption, any kind of option that you want to put in there. There was definitely one of those. I there was always been two kind of what's the fancy word? You see him start to chew on a piece of meat and just little pieces fly out when he says liaison. That's what they were. I always had two liaisons that were kind of appointed, and unfortunately, one of them died recently, and so they decided to renegotiate terms of our agreement. And you know, we did as best as we can. We tried to bend over backwards for them, but I gotta tell you, Prince Hyde is a real son of a bitch. He didn't want to agree to any of their, you know, demands.
What were their demands?
They wanted they wanted West Salem for themselves. They wanted more allowance in the city, to reestablish their connection to the parks in Salem. Um, they wanted no more of our kind in the forest at all. So that would have fucked over you and Tommy here, and fucking anybody else who has the ability to shapeshift.
Mm, mm. Um, is there like a new player going on, right? Like, is there like a new person that has come into the werewolf community that is not like an enemy? Has there been a new enemy that's come through
He
besides?
he is lifting a piece of meat up to his mouth when you ask that, and he kind of stops, frozen. Then he puts it back in the bag. Who told you about that?
They did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of like it's not a bad guy, but it's a bad guy for us. I'll tell you that right now. Uh, Apparently somebody let loose this werewolf from Nazi Germany. Big old 1942 werewolf that was imprisoned because you know why not just kill the motherfucker instead of just imprisoning him if he's become a problem? But apparently, and this was news to me, the Nazis had a group of werewolf that they would send out to hunt vampires and other supernaturals. But vampires were top of the list. Uh, and this motherfucker is one of them. And somebody let him loose in the city.
So you're saying that there is a Nazi werewolf running through Salem?
I mean, outside the Salem, but yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys
And
have
he
anything
was
to do with
and
that?
uh and I look at Thomas.
Thomas shakes his head.
No. No. I wasn't even around during World War II. Why would I be associated with a Nazi werewolf?
I'm just asking. Somebody set him loose. That's what he said. It's two vampires set him loose, and then now he's everybody's problem. So welcome to
And
Salem.
I All right. Well, Manny, I mean, I know that you're just as you're a much more curious mind than I am. I think there has to be some hints or suspicions that you have as to who I mean, I know you said it could be us, but who do you think let loose this Nazi werewolf? Who do you think could have done it?
I mean, there's so many stupid people in the city, you know? It's like every time that I think that I know who's who, there's somebody that does something stupid and then it just proves me right. You notice that as he's been talking, he keeps eating, but his hands aren't the ones that are feeding him. Like he's got these shadowy black tentacles. One of them is holding the bag for him, and the other one has itself wrapped around the handle of the spork, and it's spearing pieces of meat and kind of bringing them up to his mouth. Excuse me. And he's been using his hands to kind of talk how Cubans talk. Um, he's like, "Yeah, man, could be anybody, but I don't know. Not at liberty to discuss the details of certain things that I have heard recently."
Thomas, is there anything else that you want to ask Manny?
Kind of leans forward in his seat. Uh, Manny, where is Otis right now? Where's his head at? And Manny kind of looks at him and then looks at you. He's fine, man. He's out there. He's at Gunther's right now, like doing work like he always does. It is what it is. And Thomas looks at him. He's like, "Have you heard about the rumors that Geraldine is still alive?" And Manny, you see the shadow tentacles vanish instantly, and he kind of the Ziploc bag drops. Spork falls to the floor with a clatter, and he kind of leans forward now. And he's like, "That's an interesting rumor, and I would like to know where you heard that from because that could be very profitable to the right people." And Thomas just kind of leans back in his chair and he's just like, "It's not a rumor I heard per se. It's just something that I was trying to see if maybe you had heard about because I know if I was petty like some people are and I wanted to send a message, I wouldn't kill whoever I was replacing. I would stake them and use them as my new art piece in my home. But then again, that's also who I am as a person. It might not be who Prince Hyde or any of the Primogen could be, right?" Manny bends over, picks up his bag, picks up the spork. And he's like, "No, No, but if I hear something, I'll let you know the moment I do. Thomas gets up. All right, well, if you're satisfied, Miss Eastworm, I think we can let this man get back to his eating and give Mr. Coulson back his office.
I don't have any more questions. But Manny, it's always a pleasure.
Oh, you know it, baby. And he gives you finger guns again.
Okay.
And anytime you want to ride a real bull, you let me know.
Hmm. I just sort of, she just sort of makes
Yeah,
this face of like,
yeah.
okay.
And Thomas immediately goes over to the door and opens it, um, and helps you out as he kind of just shakes his head at him. John goes back into the office. You go out to Thomas's car. He opens the door for you. Gets into the driver's seat. Turns on the engine. He's like, "All right, well, we're we're closer now than we were when we started the night. So I think overall we've won the night."
Yeah. But now we know there's a Nazi werewolf running around.
Right.
That has to be a person that is relevant to where. Mm, do you know anything about a Nazi werewolf?
Uh, Seeing as how I tried to stay as far away from another war as possible, I did not know that the Nazis had werewolves. Um, that would have frightened me.
Hmm. Who do you think would know about this?
The werewolf or Joshua?
Well, clearly, the werewolf is correlated to Joshua.
Hmm.
I don't know if Joshua could have been the one who released the werewolf.
Joshua's done some stupid things, but I don't think he's that stupid.
Well, perhaps it wasn't him, but I think that once we're able to discover who the two vampires are that released this werewolf, we can align that with the timeline that the werewolves gave us on when he disappeared,
Hmm.
and that could give us an idea where to look.
Let's
Am I
try.
wrong?
No, no, that's an option. Let's try asking Wesley and Garter what he knows.
You know where he is?
I mean, he's only got a few places that he can hide in. And you see him pull out a small notebook, like a detective's notebook, and he rips out a page and he hands it to you. And it's got two places: the Knife and Fork restaurant and the um, what's this place called? Uh, 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 the Blooming Rose Gallery.
Okay.
And he drives off. He gets to the gallery. He sees that there's people kind of meandering about. Then he kind of points at one of the people there. Bald gentleman with a beard. It looks like an old kind of plantation owner. Silk suit, nice tie, things like that. And parks his car, gets out. Um, and as you walk inside, you see the smile on Garter's face vanish the second he sees Thomas. And he motions, and some people kind of come around. They start to entertain whoever he was entertaining, and Garter comes over to you. Well, I'm surprised to see the likes of you, Mr. Kincaid. I thought that you had left our city for good the last time, and here, our saints preserve me, here you stand in front of me once again. Thomas nods. I wish this was a social visit, Mr. Garter, but we're looking for my childer. And Wesley kind of smiles. You never did have a good hold on that boy, did you? Just letting him run loose like he does. Excuse me. You gotta learn to whip your child into shape. You know, if you catch my meaning. And Thomas nods. He's like, I think the reason we went to war in 1860 was because I know your meaning, sir. And at this point, Wesley smiles again. I mean, times have changed, Mr. Kincaid. The Negro has their freedom. And Thomas nods. Yep. That sure is the truth, Mr. Gardner. Now, getting back to topic at hand, have you seen Joshua in the last, I don't know, month? And Wesley shakes his head. I do declare, sir, that if I would have seen him, I would be telling you about that interaction right now as we speak. And as Thomas nods and he's about to turn around to leave, he stops and points in a direction. And you see standing in front of a piece of art, just kind of eyes wide and a little bit surprised. And it looks like he has his claws out, that he was about to do something dangerous. But you see Joshua. And the second he sees you and Thomas, he stops in his tracks.
May I excuse myself? Getting a little well, fresh air would be nice.
Yeah. But you see Thomas and Wesley start to make their way towards Joshua.
Oh, so he saw him too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I thought it was like behind him. Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
That's behind you.
Oh, it was behind me.
Mm.
Okay. Great.
But they step past you, they go up to Joshua, and as they do, you see that his claws retract. And he starts to just kind of like fiddle with his hands. And there's just an abundance of Southern twang that comes out of their conversation. Like everybody's trying to be pleasant with each other, but it's all false pleasantries. And at one point, Joshua just kind of brushes past both of them and comes over to you. What are you doing here?
You know, I could ask you the same thing. I don't know how I ended up here.
I came here
People are
to
looking for you.
yeah, and I came here to kill this motherfucker.
But this motherfucker?
And he points at Wesley.
This slave owning motherfucker? I wouldn't blame you.
And now I can't because you're here and Thomas is here.
Well, we're here because we're looking for you.
Why? What do you need from me?
Well, Thomas here, your sire, has been looking for you. He went into your house, started snooping around,
God damn it.
and from one moment to the next, I'm in a trance. I'm walking the streets in a trance, abandon my entire party, only to find myself in this very long conversation with Thomas, who is concerned for you because of Wesley and perhaps something else he hasn't told me. But he enlisted me to help find you. And here you are.
God damn it.
What the fuck is going on?
I knew I should have listened to Abigail. Damn it. Well, right now we need to get out of here. And he points at Thomas. Stop following me. If I need you, I will call out to you. Then he points at Wesley. You go fuck yourself. Then he grabs your hand and he starts to walk out. You go with him?
I don't even know. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I leave him and go to Thomas, I don't know why I did that. So I have to go with him. There's no reason. I mean, but I go with him, but I pull my hand away and I walk next to him and I say, I'm leaving with you. But we need to have a very long conversation about whatever the fuck is going on here.
All right. Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
And also some other shit that I may have discovered in the past couple of weeks. We have a lot to talk about.
All right, sure. All right. And he leads you out to a car. Unlike Thomas, he doesn't open the door for you. Just gets into the driver's seat. It's not the same truck as the one that he drove you off in after he embraced you, but it is a similar truck. And he just drives to his house. And the whole drive there, he's like, "All right, look, I don't know what Tom said to you. I don't know what you think you know about me. But why don't we start with the most pressing thing that you have on your mind, and then we'll start to kind of whittle them down from largest to smallest."
Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah, you're the one that has all this new information.
Okay. Well, when I went looking for you, hold on. Just give me a second. See. Okay. So a couple things. We went to go see the werewolves, me and Thomas, earlier this evening, looking for you. They aren't happy with you.
They're not.
They say that you left apparently just sort of out of the blue in a moment of extreme something. And then we talked to Manny to learn about why the Lupines are having this conflict. And we learn about some Nazi werewolf. Where are you involved in this puzzle? Why did you leave the werewolves?
I left because a woman from my past came asking for my help.
Abigail?
Abigail, yeah.
And Thomas does not care for Abigail.
None. A lot of people don't care for Abigail. She's she's a bit of a bitch.
I believe the word was the words I heard were crafty bitch.
Sure. There's that.
Okay. So Abigail came back into your life, so you abandoned the werewolves?
Abigail came back into my life because she had a proposition that was too good for me to pass up. She gave me a way to get to Wesley that I just couldn't. I couldn't turn down.
And your gripe with Wesley is based on
Wesley is the man that embraced my wife. So by
heard a
association,
little bit about that.
he's the one that ruined my life and ruined my son's chance at being somebody.
Thomas did share that with me.
Thomas has a big
And
fucking mouth.
well, I'll be honest. There could have been a way for me to have learned this information in one way or another. He just got to me faster. But before I further interrogate you, I should probably tell you that we found um your wife and uh and she's hanging out in a safe place.
You found Amanda,
Uh-huh.
so you found my
Well,
locker.
you gave me your stuff and told me go into the locker.
Right. I thought you
So
would
I
go into
did.
it in a moment of necessity, and whenever you needed help.
Since you've left me, all I've needed is help. Help with one thing or help with another.
No,
By
well,
the time I went into your locker, I didn't know what I would find in there, let alone the floating head of your ex or your late wife. And I couldn't just leave her in there.
why I have.
Well, fair. But it felt like she could be helpful in me getting to know a little bit more about you. And it just didn't. If I did the wrong thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is what it
But I
is.
couldn't leave her there.
She's out now, so
So, but she's still accessible if you, whatever. Point is, I'm sorry. So I understand why you're after Wesley in that case. What do you know about this? Do you know anything about this Nazi werewolf and the two vampires that released him?
no,
Released them?
I did not know
No?
anything about that. No,
So do you know who the enemy is that the werewolves are all up in arms about? Is it Abigail?
no, it's not Abigail. It's there's a creature that was released that only the werewolves can really deal with. It's a spiritual thing. Unfortunately, it did a lot of damage when it was released, and they've been trying to kind of deal with the situation as best as possible. And unfortunately, they did lose a couple of their people.
Okay. So this brings me now to the elephant in the room, Thomas. What the hell is what relationship do you two have to each other that is so contentious? And why do you think he's hell bent on spending time with you?
Thomas
Er,
is my sire. Um, he's the one that made me, and as such, he thinks that he has these old world mentalities of ownership of some kind. And as he's telling you about Thomas and his mentality, you suddenly feel that there's this great shake and upheaval, and you see, secondly, as you hear the crunching and just the horn, and you see that somebody has T-boned the car on the driver's side, and you are launched out from the passenger side. Um, you take 6 points of superficial damage as you go flying and scraping across the ground. But you
God.
see, yeah, you see that the driver of the car that T-boned you, the van that T-boned you, is just kind of sitting there on his horn. Um, the the side of the van opens. You can hear what sounds like heavy footfalls of boots, and you see them come around. Two of them come over to you. One of them puts their knee on the back of your back, on the small of your back, and you feel what feels like a metallic object at the base of your neck, almost like a gun barrel. And you see that they pull Joshua's broken and maimed body out of the car. Uh, One of them puts this cylindrical object, white, very clinical. It looks to be about maybe 2 feet wide and about 3 feet long. And they put it up to his chest, and you hear what sounds like a staple. But you notice that out of the conal protrusion that comes into contact with the skin, you see what looks to be this wooden stake just being stapled into Joshua's body. And right as he's about to fight them off, and you see that some of the wounds are healing, you see the stake go through his heart, and everything stops, and he just becomes this frozen statue. You see them pull it off of him, they reload a stake, and they start to walk towards you. And this is where we're going to stop for tonight with this episode. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us as always. Please continue to keep your distance, continue to wash your hands, continue to wear your masks in public. If you are of age, please consider getting yourselves vaccinated, because we need to get ourselves vaccinated so we can stop the spread of this thing and we can start to free up some of the beds in the ICUs and in the hospitals. As always, here on the channel, we take mental health very seriously. Mental health should be part of our general health, and it is okay to not feel okay. So if you're watching live, there are phone numbers going up in our Twitch chat. If you're watching on YouTube, they will be in the description box down below. If you are not in the United States, there is a link going up so you can find the help that you need and the resources you need in the area that you live in. And please, please continue to reach out if you need help. Uh, Mental health should not be locked behind a stigma or a taboo subject wall. Like if you need help, there's no shame in getting help. If you are a friend or family member also of somebody that is usually a strong or happy-go-lucky personality, please check in on them, because you never know how far a hello or a simple "how are you doing" text can change the trajectory of somebody's life. If anything, I'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday, for our Legend of the Five Rings game. We will be dark on Friday because of Christmas Eve. So we will catch you on Monday for our Anarch chapter, or next Tuesday for our last werewolf introduction, where we get to meet the Arun of the pack, and we will be dark again on New Year's Eve. So please be safe, have a happy holidays, and I will see you when I see you.